like anybody lives. This is a great time to start. We've had so much good conversation too. Well, it just wasn't meant to be, I guess. Wasn't meant to be
I
shared.
distracted you.
No, I'm the same as Olivia. By Friday, I am a little distracted. Oh, all right. So let's go through our moves. You want me to turn around, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we have decided that all the classes want to turn around, and that suits me just fine. As long as we know what's going on in the front. So if there's any questions of what are your hands doing or arms doing, or anything, if you just ask, I think we know by now here. But anytime you have a question, just stop and say, let's see what that looks like from the front. But we'll go through turned around. So just let me know. So let's just go all the way through. Just give it a shot, and it's a good tester of what we know, what really we know, and that will tell us what we have to work on. So let's start from the top, checking our body structure, making sure there's no tension. That nice soft bend in our knees as we begin. And commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. I'll move over here so I don't move out of camera, starting with our advanced 6 brush knee. Play the loop. Parry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the loop. Parry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Close it out. So that's our tester. That says, ooh, I didn't know what my feet were supposed to be doing on whatever movement. And the way we get better is by practicing. We got our basic 6. Exploring those advanced 6. Thinking about empty step, weight shift, follow step. And that follow step is an empty step too. All of our steps should be empty. Initially, empty step before weight gets shifted to it. Our follow step foot is an empty step, but it's also our next step or our first step of that next move. But still, okay, the follow step, empty. It is also our first step of our next, empty. So you see how long weight was on one leg. And to me, that's an experience with our advanced movements, is having weight on one leg for a significant amount of time because of an empty step and the follow step foot. Or the next, sorry, follow step foot and that first step of the next one. Might have talked about the same step two different ways. So that's one thing that is to be considered when you're doing your advanced moves. So let's start at our advanced 6, going to the left first, thinking about empty step, then the weight shift, follow step, empty, then the step back. Also remember, empty step is our goal, but it's not a rule. If we need to shift weight to a foot for safety, because it's either that or fall, it's not a problem. Safety is first. Listening to your body's first. So when you shift the weight, follow step, if you need to shift the weight to it just for a second, then get the weight off before you continue on the movement, that's not a problem. So don't kill yourself thinking, oh, no, I can't give it weight, I can't give it weight. Yes, give it weight, safety first. So let's go through our advanced 6 with the thought of empty step and weight shift, follow step, empty, that period at the end of the movement. All right, so advanced 6. Brush knee. Play the loop. I didn't say it. Parry punch. I'm focusing on my weight shift or my empty step. Lock and close. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the loop. Parry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. So, what was that like? Are you thinking about that empty
Yes.
shift, follow step? And you can, I forgot what I was going to say, but what I wanted to say was I try to almost visibly show, I'm usually doing something like this with my hands to show that I am respecting the empty step before I move on, especially when it comes to block and close. You see that? Pause, push the tiger, a pause. So those 2 moves, block and close and push the tiger, they would be so easy to totally skip that empty step and go into that slow, smooth, continuous mode. And so that's not very Tai Chi of us to skip the empty step and shift. So sometimes I feel it. I feel myself doing a pause. So let's do it again. Advanced 6. brush knee. I was so focused on the weight shift or the empty step, I totally forgot to say any of the names of the movement. So
That's okay.
experience that, and then think about the hand movement connected to your weight shift. So when we have brush knee. All right, so I'm ready to shift the weight to that left foot. At the same time I shift the weight, I'm pushing that right foot forward and then the follow step. So the weight shift and that hand movement went together. And so I'm just stuck on this opposite, the counterbalance, the counter movements. But look at that. That forward, this hand, opposite. Look at that. Oh, we do it in our advanced 6. It's not just in that warm up, for our knees. Step, shift, follow step. Oh man, I can't wait to learn more about that. So step, and then the arm movement with the shift. All right, step, arm movement with the shift. So connecting what's happening on top to what's happening on bottom. Arm movement with the shift. Arm movement with the shift. Arm movement with the shift. Guess what? Arm movement with the shift. I'm doing it the wrong way. Okay, now let's go to the right. Brush knee. Arm movement with the shift. Arm movement with the shift. Arm movement with the shift. Open, close. So connecting those two things happen, I think, helps you dive into that feeling of the movement. In the beginning, it's so choppy, like first this, then that, okay, then that with my hands. So you're thinking almost do something with my feet. Okay, now do something with my hand. Okay, here's the weight shift. So you're thinking too much about each part of the movement. And once you know the parts of the movement, then that's where that continuous, that smoothness of the movement comes in, which is our principle. So first, thinking about the step empty, shift, follow step empty. As you go through those, as you go through advanced movement. I mean, it's the same as in our basic, but we're probably less practiced and less familiar with our advanced. And then connecting when you do shift the weight, so we're coming away from the empty step and now thinking about the weight shift, what's happening on top? Hands are going forward as the weight is going forward. Same thing as in our basic 6. When we begin our movement, we shift right as our hand goes down. So we're shifting down to that leg as we bring our hand down. And that connecting that movement rather than doing one at a time. Connecting, same here, as you shift forward, as those hands go out. And when I bring my hands in, then I take my hands from one leg to, now I have weight on both legs before I open and close. So it's like I'm gathering and then weights on both legs to do my open and close. Basic 6. So I'm shifting and bringing that leg back, just like there's a string connected to that foot and that hand to bring them both at the same time. They're just more opportunities in our basic 6 to connect weight shift with hand movement versus our basic movements. Even though I think in commencement, that's probably the best example. Down and shift, forward and shift. So you're going forward and your hands are forward, you're going down. And I think of that as your weight going down when you're starting commencement. All right, so let's go through our advanced moves again, thinking about that. Weight shift and hand movement. Go to the left first. And, not commence, brush knee. Play the loop. Parry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the loop. Parry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Begin. Brush knee. Play the loop. Parry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. Front. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the loop. Parry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger. To the front. Open, close. So same movements, different focus, right? And so
Yes.
it's almost a whole different experience with it when we think about a different part of the movement. You can think about your posture the whole time. So let's go through those movements. And this all, to do this, it requires you to know the movements. You cannot do this if you don't know the movements. It's that's just 101 of learning. You got to know the movements first. You got to almost be in a place where your body can do the movements and you don't even think about what it's doing. I can tell you a story about anything and I can go through all of Tai Chi. But when I get to part 2, I can't talk to you anymore about my story. I have to focus on what I'm doing and what's next, and you know, that right or left. Mm-hmm. I have to think more on part 2 because I'm not as practiced in part 2. So you have to know your movements before you can start doing these things I'm talking about. Thinking about posture, focusing on that. Let's go through and think about that. As you shift forward and shift, especially shifting forward, your tendency is to want to lean with the weight shift, but to really focus and make sure that you continue to keep that good upright posture. And because there's so many different things going on with our hands, to not put tension in our shoulders. And so upright posture and no tension, focus with our movements. Get it right to start with. Brush knee. I'm envisioning books on my head is what I'm doing. Now that almost made me wonder what my posture or what my posture was before, because I really felt straight. I really felt straight on that, and I almost felt unbalanced because my focus was so much on my posture. So that's interesting to do those movements and think about different things. All right, let's cool ourselves down. Go ahead.
I didn't realize how much vision. All right. I was working on my posture and I said, where am I at? And I checked to find, I have trifocals to find my vocal. And then I realized, whoa, I went way. But yeah. That was, it's like an onion. You just keep layer. I mean, they look like simple dance moves and still be dancers, but it's like layers. You keep finding different things.
Yes, and you gave me more today that now my mind is just blown, and now all I can think about is, oh my gosh, when we do play the loop, look, where there's this foot out and that opposite arm goes out. Oh my gosh, how many times do we do that? That's so cool. Oh, create tension. We don't want to live that way. Let it go.
We'll try to find the book.
Gather and release. Well, I've just always been a nerd for learning things, and so you find something you're interested in and you just go down that hole of what all can I learn about it? And it's cool to be doing something since consistently since 2012. That's almost 12 years, and still be learning stuff and still be fascinated with it. I like that. Definitely goes beyond the first 16 weeks.
I coached soccer for 30 some odd years, and I'm a retired soccer coach, but I still watch a soccer game or see a coach do something different and go, wow. Yeah, I mean, you just, oh, I never thought to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
My daughter is dating a soccer player right now, and so she has got to start going to soccer games, and she's never went to soccer games before. And she says it is so exciting, but when it goes to penalty kicks, like you've done,
Oh Lord, yeah.
She's like, I just can't hardly stand it.
They do Tai Chi then, baby.
Yeah. She's just so tense. When it comes to penalty kicks, but anyway, always places to learn, and we're better whenever we realize we don't know everything. You remember when you were at a certain age and you thought you knew everything? I know for sure at 16 I knew everything. I'm quite certain it was 16. At 45, I feel like I know a little bit about a lot of things.
Yeah. And Mark Twain said it the best. At 14, I thought my dad was the dumbest man on earth. And at 21, I was realizing, my God, how smart he is,
It's going to make me cry. Because it's so true. It is so true. And you have teenagers or people who have moved beyond teenagers. So you've experienced the fun of them knowing everything. All right, let's close. We have our fist representing our strength, our left fingers representing our friendship, our left fingers together, our thumb in representing our humility, just as we were talking about. Strength, friendship, and humility. And we put those together in mutual respect. We say namaste.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Lance. I really enjoyed today's class. Even though just a little bit of it was recorded, I think that the people who watch it in recording will hopefully learn something. I hate they missed our first part of our discussion, but we'll talk about it again, I'm sure. Okay. You have a great weekend and week. And if you need anything, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. And if not, I'll see you next Friday.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
You too.
Bye.